This time on episode 282 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're talking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6, Episode 1, Missing Pieces. We're talking weekly Marvel news and your feedback.
I'm Andrew from the Dad.io podcast. Live supplies the inputs and we supply the outputs. Part of the Gonna Geek network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other fantastic and amazing geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
You have been granted clearance by director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, May 12th, 2019, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast galactic-wide via www.geeks.live. Come on and join our live chat as we record. Ladies, happy National Mother's Day.
Yay!
Everybody call your mom.
Already did.
I'm doing it after this.
Did your cats leave you a mom present today?
Thankfully, no.
That was last night and I had to clean it up.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Todd, our dog, did give me face licks, though. So, got that going for me.
I used to have a cat when I was younger. He was like my first cat that I really bonded with. And he would give me presents of dead mice in my bed. And he would then look at me like, look, mommy. And I would have to be like, good job. Good job. Oh, God.
He's trying to teach you how to hunt.
I know.
Yeah. There's that study that says that, like, cats think that we're just big, weird cats that are bad at being cats.
That would make sense.
They think we're stupid.
Well,
Yep.
It's true.
It's okay. Cats are stupid too.
Well, I'm glad that your cats did not give you a present today, and Haley, that you got licked by your dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is now back from its 52-week hiatus between Season 5 and Season 6 just this week. We're going to talk about it later. The multiple Marvel small screen series and the Marvel cinematic and comic book universes in general.
Because it's okay. You'll be a butterfly.
If you would like to talk to us about being a butterfly, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com.
You can leave us a voicemail at 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
You can leave us a comment on our Facebook at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can find us on Twitter, where we're at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can see our faces on YouTube at www.youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
And you can join our Discord server chat at GonnaGeek.com/Discord.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
We're talking Missing Pieces, Season 6, Episode 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week. It aired on Friday, May 10th, 2019. Michelle, who directed the episode?
Some unknown guy named Clark Gregg. No, Agent Coulson, now Sarge himself. He has 4 directing credits starting in 2008, including a 2008 film called Choke, 2010 short called A Breakfast Nook, 2013 film called Trust Me, and 2 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Haley, who wrote this episode?
Another unknown, one Jed Whedon. He has 10 writing credits starting in 2004. 3 for Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, 7 for Dollhouse, couple of Spartacus, and 21 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a series of which he is one of the co-creators.
And Lauren, who was the other co-writer for the episode?
Another little unknown you might know as Maurissa Tancharoen, who has 8 writing credits starting in 2003. including Oliver Bean, the TV series, Britney Spears Live from Miami, the video segments, Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog and commentary, the musical, an episode of Drop Dead Diva, a bunch of episodes of Dollhouse, an episode of Spartacus, Gods of the Arena, and a whole bunch of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's also the co-creator and producer.
Executive producer, showrunner, I believe that we
Showrunner is a correct term.
Maurissa and Jed.
She was also the co-producer for Spartacus. So, one of my favorite shows ever. That's Joe.
At least they rolled out the red carpet for the A-team for this episode. So, way to go, guys. So, Missing Pieces. Haley, that's the title of the episode. We often relate the title to the theme of the episode. So, what do you got for me this time?
Well, while watching this episode, my girlfriend and I were doing a puzzle, and we got like the whole thing done, and there was a piece of the puzzle missing. So I don't know how they knew that was going to happen when they wrote the episode, but that's clearly what the title of this episode is referring to.
I think there's a lot of crystal balls going around this episode. I think this actually harkens back to last season, right? With the little girl who could foresee the future, so they might have used her.
That must be it.
Michelle, is Haley barking up the right tree here?
Well, in her world, yes. But in ours, I would say Missing Pieces would result is about how some of the agents all aren't on Earth. Some of them are in space. Some of the space crew bailed. And now there's only 4 of them. Obviously, there's missing agents and, on the Earth team. And of course, Coulson is dead. And that's a big piece that's missing.
I would say Deke's missing. I would say that Fitz is missing, at least for the team, and then Coulson is gone. Those were the missing pieces that I saw. Lauren, do you agree?
Yeah, that sounds pretty correct to me. There's also, from the point of view of the audience, the missing pieces of, we know what went on at the end of last season, and we know what's gone on here 1 year later. But there's a big old chunk in the middle that we're only aware of bits and pieces of what went on.
Also, this is they're living in post-snap world, right? If it's only 1 year later?
Not really, and we'll talk about that later.
And I was just going to bring up timeline. Where do you think this is? If you had not read anything about where this was, where did you think it was? And Haley, you think it's post-snap, right?
Well, I think it would have to be, because the end of last season, we had, what's his name, going to fight Thanos.
Yep. So there was a Thanos reference last year, and it was around the time of Infinity War. That was the inference. So this being a year later would be post-snap. I would agree with that. Lauren, where did you think this was based on the episode that you saw?
Well, it couldn't be in a post-snap world. There was no mention of it.
Yeah.
That would be kind of forefront on everyone's mind. And I sort of read the news item right around the time of leading up to the episode's release. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Now we're just in another offshoot from reality.
Which does make sense because they did screw around with the timeline.
Yes.
All right. Michelle, were you in line with that, or were you confused?
I actually thought it was a post-snapped world. I was fine with them not talking about it every single minute. It's been a year. Maybe they've already gone through counseling. They're obviously missing Coulson, and they're really focused on that being the year anniversary. I'm fine either way, but when I was watching it, I'm just like, okay, they're 1 year into the 5-year span after the snap, because it's all in game and they had that 5 years. So I was thinking, okay, it's plausible that it's post-snap.
I was thinking it was supposed to be post-snap, but there were too many, we weren't missing anybody. So.
Well, you're missing Deke.
Yeah, but nobody else.
Statistically, okay. So they're the compensation for the Spider-Man group of kids who all disappeared.
Yes, all of Spider-Man's crew like circle conveniently got dusted. So now with S.H.I.E.L.D, nobody got dusted. Balance.
We'll talk more about the timeline later, but it is a consideration as you're watching this whole thing. So you do have Zephyr 1 in space, and we find out that it does have the ability to do, what would you call them, hyper jumps?
That's the thing that the Hydra had to jump. That's what they're using.
Right, but in relation to the actual ship, would you call that a hyper jump, or would you just call that another jump?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of. Yeah, it's like a. Yeah, I guess a hyper jump's as good a name for it as anything.
It was the thing that you had to hold on to in order to be projected somewhere last season. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, the whole ship is being transported now, and that is how they're able to travel. And apparently the Zephyr is really, really bad on fuel mileage.
Well, this is kind of an aftermarket mod for it, so it's not exactly its primary purpose. And also we find out that everywhere they go, Quake immediately just starts threatening people. She's like, it's a show of force. It shows them we're not supposed to be messed with. And who was it? Was it Simmons who's like, yeah, and now people think we're scary, so they start attacking us.
They send the big ships after us.
Yeah. So really it's a question of which perspective do you agree with? Oh, we're tiny frail humans, don't hurt us, or we're humans. Ah!
Well, it's not like she came out of the ship just automatically quaking everyone. She was like, hey, we need fuel. We need this, maybe. And they're like, no, you're going to have to work in our mines or whatever. And she's just went, okay, you know what? I don't really want to hassle. This is just taking too much time. Let me just remove your weapons. And I don't really think it was her idea to hang the guy upside down, because Gemma was describing in great detail what was happening or could happen to that guy's body as he hangs upside down.
And I thought back to the first time we met Fitzsimmons when they were in the lab.
Did we first meet him in the lab, or were they boarding the first bus?
I'm pretty sure they were already in the lab when we met them.
Okay. Yeah, they were naive back then, but they've been through a lot. I was thinking about that. I mean, the framework, the Ghost Rider, the whole thing last year, the Inhumans. I mean, they've been through a lot. So you have the crew, and the crew is been depleted because they are missing people. And it's really just the 5 of them, right? It's Daisy, the pilot. What's his name?
Davis.
Yeah.
Davis, thank you. Davis, Piper.
Just 4 of them.
It's 4.
Okay, just 4 of them.
Yeah.
So you only have 4 of them left on this ship. And I did watch the season 5 finale, and it was chock full of everybody, including Director Mac and Yo-Yo, and it was a full stocked crew as they left, except Mignaw was not there.
Apparently they just kept leaving people behind because they were like, okay, no, we're sick of this. And by the end, it was just them, they said.
Okay, so a ragtag bunch, basically, and they're really trying to find Fitz. They're going after any trace that was with the ship. And here's another reason to talk about the timeline, is because the ship itself that Fitz was on, which did make it into the future in the Prime universe, I guess, that we saw
in, let's call it the 616 universe, I guess.
Yeah, that we were started from last year. He did make it to the future, and then whatever happened, it changed in this timeline because they changed the timeline, and the ship actually gets cut in half. And now we spend the episode wondering where Fitz is and if he survived or not. And when Gemma finds the stasis pod which was in the other half of the ship that made it to the station or wherever they were. They don't find Fitz in there. There's no body in there. There is a blood handprint on the inside, and they just don't know. But Gemma, they take the pod onto Zephyr 1, and then Gemma just gets in it. And it was, oh man, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, her just, again, there's no big outburst. There's no tears. She's just kind of there, and she lies down in it. And it was so, it's that whole, like, I just want to be where he's been and see what he saw, like the last seconds of life. Just, I want to be close to him for 1 minute. And that was kind of the thing that triggered her, oh, hey, I see what's going on moment, where we find out that she spent the last year learning an alien language.
Do you think it would take her a full year to learn the language?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to say that I've been trying. My parents never taught me Spanish growing up. And I've been trying for my entire life to teach myself Spanish. And I'm still really bad at it. So,
Yeah, learning languages is hard, and it's not like
Yeah.
it's her area of expertise.
but I saw a clip and it was like her and Fitz talking about what would you do if you could control time or if you had a wish or something. And Fitz, I think, said, put an extra day in the week, like between Saturday and Sunday. And Simmons said, I'd learn all the languages.
Okay. Well, the message that she found leads to somewhere in deep space. Didn't quite follow that conversation.
Deep space.
Deep. So it's a way away from the Earth. So they're going to be way away from the Earth. And then probably their jump drive is going to break on this
Well, yeah, it
last
looked
drop.
like if you looked when they were loading the core thing, whatever that makes it jumpy, they only had 2 left and they just used 1.
So it's going to take a miracle basically to get them back home. And they just want to go home. Davis hasn't seen his kid in forever. Was it just me, or did Piper and Davis have a thing going on?
No, they're just friends.
Yeah, I think they're just friends. It was that more like really rival, like, you're gross. You're gross. Hey, we're buddies.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like annoying roommates.
Yeah, I've picked up on it since last season. I'm so glad, by the way, that we're getting more of them because I really like them.
So which one of them are they going to kill?
Oh, God, probably Davis.
Yeah, he's the one with the kid.
He's the one with the kid and he's the pilot.
Now,
Yep.
and she's the one that betrayed them before too. So
She didn't consciously
didn't.
betray them. You need...
I'm always going to say that.
You
No.
can't take audience knowledge and blame the character for not having audience knowledge. That's not fair.
Which is why Gata was... I will defend Gata from BSG until my dying day because he did not have audience knowledge. But anyway.
But Zarek's a piece of word
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't say
no.
on this podcast.
Yeah.
So they end up having to take the jump through in an emergency, and Gemma had already loaded the coordinates in, and they had to jump then because they were being attacked. And so, boom, they're off to the races to go find Fitz.
Well, and she intentionally took this opportunity of we don't have time for a debate, obviously, to manipulate everyone into doing what she'd wanted.
I already plugged in the coordinates. Oh, no. And there they go, off to where she wants. Because remember back when Simmons was bright-eyed, hopeful Simmons, and now it's 6 seasons later, and she's been through hell so many times over. And yeah, she's done talking. We saw her help torture a guy this episode.
Being taken off of the bus without a parachute, being dropped at the bottom of the ocean, without hope of rescue, all that stuff, it just adds up. But at the end, we do find the Fitz that went into stasis, but what the heck happened to him?
Drugs.
Well, he's speaking alien.
Well, maybe he has to inject himself in order to work in the environment because he's not. Obviously, he would be the alien in that environment. And if it's not hospitable really to humans, he might have to take something in order because something looked like happened to his eyes. So maybe he needs it to see whatever the controller is that he's working for. I really don't want him to just be a space junkie.
Oh, speaking of which, this isn't really news, and speaking of Simmons, y'all remember, speaking of Simmons' storyline, when she was on that planet, there was Will the astronaut, and he just kind of was abruptly written off the show. And then Hive went into Brett Dalton's character, whose name I'm blanking out on. Ward, thank you. So there was an interview recently with Dylan Casey, the actor who played Will, about why that happened. He was on opioids at the time. It began to really affect his work. And now he's in recovery. He's been recovered for a few years. There's a really good interview with him on thestar.com. Adana Girl linked it to me. So yeah, it's not really like Marvel news, but like Tamo Pennicott had a link to it back on May 3rd. So glad to hear that he's recovered.
If he did not have the opioid issue, he would have stayed on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, he would have. It sounded like continued to be Simmons' love interest.
And probably Hive, and Ward wouldn't have been Hive?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think so. Who knows how that would have gone? But it sounded like they had to rewrite that real quick. But I'm glad to hear that he's doing better.
Yep.
And with things the way they worked out, I mean, I think it worked out pretty well. So, and everybody, don't do drugs. If you need help, reach out.
Fair enough. So that is what's going on in space. On Earth, we have other issues going on, all the way from trying to recover the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy to a new phenomenology occurring, and then a familiar face on the show as well. Where do you guys want to start with all this?
There's no more Mac and Yo-Yo.
That made me so sad.
They've been through a lot.
Yeah, we find out that Mac has really thrown himself into his position as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and has really withdrawn from a lot of the team, particularly Yo-Yo. They're no longer together. Yo-Yo and one of the new guys are kind of seeing each other, as in they are actively sleeping together.
And May thinks one of them has a crush.
Yeah, May thinks like, you have a crush. So May's a bit distracted, it seems.
Yeah, that's Agent Keller, who's portrayed by Lucas Bryant. I watched Haven. I know SP also watched Haven. So it was really interesting seeing him going, oh, look, it's Warnos. It's great. It's good to see him on TV again.
Yeah, he was the sheriff's son and then ultimately the sheriff in the town of Haven with all that freaky stuff that happens. He's got a strong sci-fi background. He's also been in a couple of Hallmark Channel movies, so he's kept active. And we'll see how long he lasts on the show, but he is not a B actor. He's not a throwaway. He is somebody that you would expect to stay on the show for a while. And bravo to him to get kind of the promotion from the Sci-Fi Network to ABC for this. Because
he's somebody you would expect to have an important death.
Yeah, if he gets murdered in the next episode, will you eat a hat?
I don't think they would bring him on just for 2 episodes. But
remember when we said that about Lucy Lawless?
Yeah.
Still not okay.
Well, she didn't die. She just lost a hand, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, we find out that Max, he has the black box from Coulson and he's talking to hologram Coulson. Well, more like hologram Coulson's talking to him. he's still taking advice from it. He's drinking pretty heavily, as in going to a bar every like morning, afternoon, evening. He's like, yeah, I'm keeping in touch with the people that I'm supposed to be saving. No, it's morning and evening, and then on Sundays he goes to church.
What bar is open in the morning?
I mean, there's got to be some.
I mean, I know you can go to breakfast places with like mimosas and with Bloody Marys and stuff like that. But bars, he was in, I think they open around 11, 12 at the earliest.
It depends on the state. There are bars that are open 24 hours.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And May's talking to him and saying, like, you know, we have a lot of brawn, but we need brains.
Also, that's how you introduce an LGBT character. Movie writers.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Marcus Benson, by the way, is coming on to be the head science department guy, I guess, for the agents, and is played by Barry Henley. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing how this all turns out.
Yeah, the whole time I was watching, I'm like, I know this guy.
Because he's been in 12 episodes of everything.
Yeah, he's been in everything. He was on Heroes. He was on Veep. He's on Elementary. He's on Flash Forward. He's in, I'm looking at his list. It's like, seriously, everything. Law and Order.
Better Call Saul.
Oz.
Yeah.
Bullworth. How Stella got her groove back.
So it is interesting. He also has an alcohol issue that was called out in the episode because his university that he was working in was lightening his load. Also, this was the scene that had me really scratching at the timeline because he was talking about the death of his partner, and I didn't understand if it was a snap or if it was an actual, natural death. So that had me all confused, this one specific scene, as to the timeline.
I assumed it was a natural death, again, because of that article I read.
Okay. I could see that if you were spoiled going in. If you weren't, like me, because I didn't read the article until later, this scene...
I still haven't read it.
Yeah. Anyway, they're going to try to do a S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy again. We'll see if that pops out at the end or if it crumbles by the end. We know we have another season ahead of us, season 7. So not everything has to be resolved in this specific season. So you've got that going on. You also have the training of Yo-Yo with May. May seems to be taking care of all of the important things for Director Mack.
I feel like she's also, I don't know, in some ways I feel like she's also thrown herself into work. And in some ways I feel like she's really lightened up post Coulson's death. Like she said, we had longer than we thought together, and I'm trying to enjoy things, appreciate them when I have them.
She says a lot to Yo-Yo all at once, and it was probably more than she'd ever spoken to Yo-Yo before.
She's one of the few experienced S.H.I.E.L.D. agents left, too.
Exactly. And for all that, she's still recognizably May, I'm not going to say she felt more lighthearted, but she didn't feel like she had as much of a weight on her as she had in the past.
That's true. And I'm glad she's training people again. It just reminded me of when she was training Daisy. It's always good to see May, passing on what she knows.
We also had these really weird events, kind of like these portals opening up and then people coming through them. There seems to be some sort of rules with these portals that we're not completely familiar with right now. But one of the people that came through was an actor called Brooke Williams. I loved Brooke from 12 Monkeys. I really did. And she seems to be carrying that same type of character forward as well. And she does it really, really well. 12 Monkeys on Sci-Fi, by the way, great series. In my opinion, it ended well. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out. You will see Brooke in the last 2 or 3 seasons. I think she was at the end of season 3, but definitely season 4 and season 5. I think it was a 5 season, and she turned out to be such a pivotal character. She wasn't like a main character, but she was a pivotal character that a lot depended on, and she took the weight really well, and I was really pleased to see her. Of course, I knew she was going to be on because I follow her on Instagram, and I saw that she was going to be part of this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season. I saw her in the trailer, and we saw some of that, but she definitely can manipulate people as they go along. So that was great.
I know her from Spartacus, where she's kind of a small role, but she's so not this character. She's kind of very quiet and then a little bit manic. And then in Almighty Johnson's, where she's also more of this kind of character. So it's really nice seeing her again. We also see some of the other not agents. What would we call them?
I think they're, if they're calling their leader Sarge, it's got to be like a military strike team.
Yeah, whatever they are. Among them, there's this one guy who's I was like, oh, he looks familiar. He looks so familiar. The guy who plays Jacko is an actor named Winston James Francis, who's been in a whole bunch of stuff. He's like the big guy in a whole bunch of stuff. He was on a couple of episodes of Sons of Anarchy. He was on a couple of episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was on, if you've ever seen the TV show Happy Together, he was on there. But what I probably know him best from is he's on a couple episodes of Glow as Goliath Jackson. One of the characters is, I think he's one of the characters' father. Or else he's the guy that trains them. I'm blanking out now. But anyway. Yeah, no, he's the guy that trains them. He's the guy that trains them in the first couple episodes. But yeah, he's big dude. He's in a bunch of episodes as the big dude.
So you have these
he's very
portals,
recognizable.
and you have the rules where you can't go through a solid object in order to get out. And apparently the big portal that they're trying to open is in the middle of a museum. So they go in to blow up the museum so the big portal can open, and they could bring through their main mobile command center armored vehicle or whatever.
I'm sorry, and I just realized where I know. The whole time I was watching, I was like, where is Agent Fox familiar from? Where is Agent Fox familiar from? Pacific Rim Uprising. He's Cadet Ilya.
Well, no, the portal itself, it's, I guess it just the guy, or timing or something, the second guy, I guess. But I thought it was interesting when they blew up the museum, which is in Muncie, Indiana, and I live in Indiana. So I was kind of like just, giggling about all this. We actually had a space beam. We had the beam going up. And it's like, oh my goodness, sci-fi trope, check.
So the portals can go through solid things, but you don't know when it's going to close, and you might get stuck in the solid thing, as we saw with What's-His-Face, who is now part of that. So if you're going to take something big through, you would like to not have anything to get stuck in.
It was so
which is why
freaky.
They blew up the museum first.
It was so freaky when he reanimated. It's like,
oh that was gross.
Oh.
And they're like, they find out, oh, he's not dead, but he's not alive, and he's not like encased in it. It's part of him. Okay, the second they said ley lines, I geeked out because I'm one of those weirdos who loves reading up on just supernatural stuff. I consider myself a skeptic, but I still love reading up on all those supernatural stuff. And okay, and also there's a whole bunch of role-playing games and video games and stuff that I like that use ley lines as points of interest or plot points. So yeah, what they explain, what ley lines are, or are considered to be, are channels of energy, basically, that flow along the earth. And supposedly, where they meet are very powerful points of connection. Like the energy intersects and the power gets more powerful. And there's a term that they use, or that Cement Guy uses. Let me pull it up. It's actually a... Here it is. It's Quechua, Pachakutik, and it's a concept associated with pre-Columbian Andean cultures, meaning a change in the sun or a renewal, a movement in the earth which will bring in a new era. Pachakutik can refer to the completion of cycles of creation and renewal and the coming of a new era. And in recent times, there's some political movements in South America, particularly those seeking to advance indigenous people's rights. Because these people are, kind of seem to be from a different world. I'm not sure that's exactly what they're representing, but
there's also the continual Brooke Williams character was the continual references to butterflies. So a renewal there from your cocoon out to be a butterfly. Like she said, don't worry, you're going to become a butterfly now. So they have some sort of agenda for our Earth to birth another planet for them or something like that. So we'll see what happens in the next few episodes of what's going on with the butterfly. What do you guys think of the butterfly comment? I was going to ask.
I doubt this is going to be connected, but in Mayan mythology, the god of fire, Xuteculti, is represented as a butterfly. Or if you're going Aztec, let me see if I can pronounce this. Istpapatzlotl, the obsidian butterfly, stands for purification and rejuvenation by sacrifice.
That would sound like what I would expect here. Michelle, what do you think?
I think it's interesting. I am curious about where these Mad Max Fury Road types are coming from.
I thought of Mad Max when the truck came out.
Same. I tweeted about it. I had to. Come on.
Definitely had a Mad Max vibe to it. Or if you're familiar with Knight Rider, it had a similar vibe to it as well.
Not enough talking cars. More war rigs, less talking cars.
I'm curious to figure out if Sarge is some sort of weird Coulson clone thing, or if it goes under the whole doppelganger about how eventually patterns will repeat and we have someone out there that basically looks like us and they're different.
I feel like, in this show, in the last season, and in the movie that just came out in-game, we've been getting a lot of, you can create alternate timelines. When people travel through time, it forks the timeline. So I think that's what happened. They found a place to cross over between the timelines, so we're getting a Coulson from a different timeline. The Mad Max timeline.
So I was going to bring up the Coulson character of Sarge being actual Clark Gregg, and the fact that it wasn't a spoiler to any of us that had watched any of the trailers, because we have seen Coulson for quite some time now in all those trailers, and we realize that is how the character of Clark Gregg is, or the actor of Clark Gregg is still going to be involved in this series. It seems like he's a bad guy, but I don't necessarily know he's a bad guy. I mean, he might be trying to do what's best for his planet, his universe, or whatever, and thinking that he can go somewhere else and save his planet. So basically being the pseudo director of S.H.I.E.L.D. from his location, although he doesn't know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, and trying to write some things for his planet or his universe.
Something that I noticed in the dialogue was the ley line jumper people kept referring to the people of this planet, I guess, as natives. So I assume that they're from a different timeline, especially because, like we mentioned, we've messed with the timeline previously by bringing Deke back to this present. We have a very clear example of a timeline divergence by the ship that brought Fitz to that future exploding or being cut in half when that never happened. And of course, in Avengers, we have, well, okay, spoiler, I guess, if you haven't seen the new Spider-Man trailer that's now a shawarma scene for Avengers Endgame if you see it as of like Friday. But they actually discuss, Nick Fury says, hey, due to all the stuff we did, now people from different timelines are just kind of showing up. Like we've split, there's now different universes that we know about.
Yeah, the MCU as we knew it is dead, and more on that later.
It's no longer one solid timeline. The Infinity Stones have been meddled with, and this is how we can explain away everything.
Yeah, apparently. Haley, you got anything else for this episode?
Not that I can think of. I think it's cool that we're getting more space stuff.
Oh yeah, the CGI was amazing with the Zephyr 1 out there and doing everything. I don't think we're going to get too much of it. I think they kind of blew some of their CGI budget just with this episode with the great visuals of the Zephyr landing and then the attack and everything. So we'll see. And the attack on Fitz's ship too, which was very brief at the beginning. So we'll see what else they can pull off. They did have a lot of time, but I don't know what their budget was like to pull this off. Michelle, anything for the episode?
I am digging Daisy's new look.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually inspired by the Marvel Rising comic and cartoon.
Well, these are the only Inhumans that we have left, right?
Well, unless if that one is still alive on the moon.
Okay, let me rephrase.
Oh,
these, yeah, these are the only Inhumans we have left in the on the screen presence because the Inhumans was canceled, and we're not going to get Inhumans in the MCU because they've got the mutants back. So I think this is going to be it for the Inhumans. Lauren, anything else for the episode?
I'm just so glad to have it back. I kept forgetting to live tweet on Friday because I just kept getting so caught up in what was happening. Again, I keep mentioning that every now and then I'll be like, oh, I like a thing. And then it'll come back and I'm like, I forgot how much I really like this thing. And this was one of those examples. It's been a year, you guys. It's been almost an entire year since we last had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And now they're here and they're talking and they're doing stuff and questions are being answered and we're getting more questions. And we have it for like what, 10 more weeks, 9 more weeks now. I'm so happy.
So that happened last time too. It's like we were on hiatus for a while and then we watched the Inhumans and we forgot how good Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was until it came back.
Marvel, is this your plan? Are you just going to string us along like this forever?
Who knows when season 7 is going to air, and who knows if it's going to be next year or not.
2020. That's what it says on IMDb.
What does it say on IMDb?
2020.
Okay.
So sometime next year.
So we don't know if it's going to be January, summer, or next fall.
Like if they'll squeeze one episode in at the end in December.
That would really suck. All right, I'm glad to have the show back and grateful that the showrunners wrote this episode. Clark Gregg came in as director. I think, I got the sense that they were trying to hide the fact that he was still involved after Coulson's death, that Clark Gregg was still involved, but we kind of all saw through that, and then they just gave up after a while. And yeah, looking forward to the next 12 episodes. It's 13 episodes, right?
Yeah, it's 13.
Yeah, so we got 12 more episodes, and then another season.
We have more weeks.
Then we're
of 13 episodes.
And then we're going to have to find something else to watch.
There's plenty.
We're really hurting for Marvel content, guys.
Yeah, there's a drought.
We just finished Runaways and looking forward to season 2 of Runaways and lots of stuff going on there. So yeah, next week we'll be talking about, actually not we, 2 of us will be talking about the next episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is Window of Opportunity, which that name sounds familiar.
Oh, Lord. We will not, however, be streaming it because I don't know how.
Me either.
It will only be Haley and Lauren. I have a family thing going on, and Michelle is taking the night off as well. So you'll get the two ladies next time, and then I will be back, at least for the third episode. Are you ladies ready for some news?
Yes.
All right. We've talked a little bit about the box office for the little indie film In-Game. James Cameron had some words to say to Marvel recently.
So he tweeted on his Instagram a picture. It's the Titanic being sunk by an iceberg, but instead of an iceberg, it's the Avengers logo sort of peeking out like an iceberg. And it says, to Kevin and everybody at Marvel, an iceberg sank the real Titanic. It took the Avengers to sink my Titanic. Everyone here at Lightstorm Entertainment salutes your amazing achievement. You've shown that the movie industry is not only alive and well, it's bigger than ever.
And apparently it's bigger than ever because Pikachu unseated Endgame this week. So that kind of rocks my predictions on if the movie...
third week.
Well...
And it's third week, and considering that Pokemon is a huge worldwide thing that lots of children have, since the 90s, have grown up with.
It's going to diversify the box office because this is not the only thing coming up. You've got Dark Phoenix coming up. You got a lot of movies that are coming up this summer, and I just don't know where Endgame is going to stop. I know it's going to get more than it is right now, which is about $2.485 billion as we record this podcast. But I don't know if it's going to...
domestic is what it's at right now. And I think it's going to pass Avatar, which is 760, like probably in the next week or two. But I don't know if it's going to go much past 800 or so. I don't think it's going to beat Star Wars.
Yeah, at 930, whatever it is.
Yeah, 936, I think.
Yeah. And then Avatar worldwide is at 2.77 billion. I think that's obtainable, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to beat that.
I don't know. It, like I said, diversified worldwide box office. I don't know.
All right. Well, next up, we have Marvel. We've discussed before, LGBT characters and the lack thereof in the MCU, but they're planning to reveal one.
They're not only planning to reveal one, they're saying that a character that has already been on screen that we know will be revealed as gay in an upcoming film. According to an interview that the Russo brothers had on EW Morning Live, Joe Russo said, there have been insinuations about other characters' sexuality, but this is the first openly gay character, talking about the character that he played in Avengers Endgame. So the interviewer said, who else is gay? Joe said, we're going to find out. And Anthony said, that's a story for another day. So previously, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige said 2 openly gay characters would be revealed, both ones you've seen and ones you haven't seen. And that could actually bring us into our next story.
Richard Madden in talks to star in the Eternals.
So we've talked about the Eternals and how they want to have a gay character in that film. They've been very clear about that. And Richard Madden is currently in talks to possibly play Icarus, a member of the Eternals. So the thing is that over the past several months, there's been a lot of speculation about Richard Madden, who's previously known for playing Robb Stark. He's also currently on Netflix's The Bodyguard. But there's been a lot of gossip about who he's dating. He's dated women before in the past, and he may currently be dating Sam Smith's ex, Brandon Flynn. And there's some speculation that he may come out as gay, bi, queer, whatever, before he accepts the role. Who knows? It's all speculation. And nobody should be pressured into coming out if they do not feel comfortable. But again, it would be nice to have an openly queer person play a queer character. In any case, it would be nice to actually just have a queer main character. I know that Tessa Thompson, who they said, oh, the openly gay character, Taika Waititi was pressing for, they actually filmed stuff with Valkyrie leaving a woman's room, and that was cut. Tessa Thompson is openly bisexual. They were trying to include a scene with Io, who was played by Florence Kasumba, and who is a lesbian in the comics. That was written and storyboarded, and it didn't make it into the movie. So, again, it's not that people haven't tried to do this before in the movies. It's that it was either cut. Well, mostly it was cut.
They didn't care enough about it to include it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we've talked a lot about it before. Not much more to say about that. Another movie that we won't be seeing soon, but we've talked about before, is New Mutants.
Hey, remember the last time New Mutants got pushed? It got pushed again. This time to 2020. So its new release date is April 3rd, 2020, almost a full 2 years after it was originally supposed to hit theaters.
Is it still going to be a horror movie?
Yes, it's still going to be a horror movie, at least as far as we know. And speculation is that it has a tricky time fitting in with Disney's portfolio of, all their planned Marvel movies that they have coming out. We've talked before about how maybe they just want to put this on Disney Plus, but it's at the same time, it's kind of the sunk cost fallacy. So, the studios have put so much money into this and into reshoots and into different cuts, and
maybe when they release the collector's ultimate Blu-ray edition, it'll just you get to pick which genre of the movie you want to watch.
Oh my god. Yeah, do you want to watch it with or without the added character? I don't know.
Maybe when it goes on Disney Plus or whatever, it becomes like a Bandersnatch sort of deal, and you make a decision, and it goes to an alternate cut part of the movie, and you just get a different experience each time.
I don't know how much traction this movie is going to have, because it's been years now since they've filmed and when the movie releases. So you're not looking at a sequel because all the actors have moved on to different projects.
Oh yeah, no.
Maybe it'll be a smash success and everyone will want back in on that sweet New Mutants action.
And I'm so disappointed because I actually really like the New Mutants, but then you guys have heard my complaints about everything that they did wrong with the casting before, so I'm not going to rehash it.
Remember when we thought that Ant-Man was going to be a garbage fire and it wasn't?
Good point.
Who knows? Maybe they'll pull this one out.
Yeah.
Maybe. Until then, we're going to move on to some feedback.
Well, Lauren got to live tweet, and of course, there's interaction on Twitter. We heard from @Nilu Octlin.
Yep. At Marvel AOSFC, #Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. IDT, you want to fight with Fitz. I don't think you want to fight with Fitz. The Confederacy is after them. So they're playing possum? So half Cement Boy woke up. Who are we running from now? Whew, this is a lot of action as usual. I forgot. They've been spotted. Yeah, it was a very action-filled premiere. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff gonna happen. So we'll see where they go from here.
I do like the mystery part where, we have no idea what's going on. And especially now with the MCU, we have really no idea what's going on. So it's adding that aspect of mystery, which I think is missing from shows after they go back past the second season. So I think this is a good remix.
And we also heard from at Andy Mingna.
Yep, okay. Any theories how they will add Deke into the mix? Rewatched season finale, and after his scene in the base, there was nothing more. I've been thinking about this ever since I saw this tweet. And he's off experiencing, life in not a crap sack world.
He just found Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, by now he's moved on to Smirnoff.
We had speculated that he might have been snapped away, that might have been a time thing that did Back to the Future on him. We don't know what happened with Deke, but he is in the season, so we'll find out.
I don't know, something's going to happen. He's going to maybe have some sort of interaction with someone who draws him back to the team. He's going to have some sort of information of, hey, I saw this thing. I don't know, but I think he will be coming back.
So now that they broke up Yo-Yo and Mac, do you think they're going to further break up Daisy and Deke?
They were never really together.
No.
Yeah, it's Deke wanting to smash his face against Daisy's in a consensual manner.
Did you guys not remember the lemons?
Of course I did.
Daisy didn't get that.
Yeah, I added lemons to the emojis in honor of Deke, who is not in this episode. Sir not appearing in this episode.
I know that Daisy, I think Daisy kind of got it at the end, but she was just too busy with everything else because she was the director.
But we will see him. And we got a couple of comments on Discord from Snediker.
Yep. First off, wow, that was a good episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was hoping to have some sort of reference to the snap, but I didn't catch anything about that. And are the time travel laws from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. different to that of Endgame? Are we in a different universe to that of Endgame now? Aw, man, just so many questions. And then the follow-up, maybe this answers some questions with a link to an article at comicbookresources.com. Ming-Na Wen says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has departed from following the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was an interview with TV Line. She says, Ming-Na Wen says, I think at this point it's safe to say that we have departed from following the Marvel Cinematic Universe in that sense and are just telling our own stories and our own situations. All this is happening pre-snap. So, again, putting that together, putting everything that happened in this episode together, putting everything that happened last season together, and putting everything that happened in Endgame together. I think that everything has gone so wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, Jeremy Baramy here that the main Marvel Cinematic Universe is here, and somehow they branched off over to the left or right somewhere along the way, and possibly even branched off from there after that. I don't know, but somewhere along the line.
I was thinking about this, and I feel a little bit gypped. And the reason why is that Maria Hill and Nick Fury were both in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Of course, you got Coulson, who was in Avengers, and he came over after the death. And then they always said that at some point in time, the Avengers would learn that Coulson was still alive.
I didn't think they ever said that.
Yeah, they did. It was interview that one of the main, it wasn't Joss Whedon, because of course he wants Coulson to be dead, but somebody, I think it was Kevin Feige, mentioned that at some point in time the Avengers were going to learn that Coulson was still alive. And so I kind of feel gypped from all of that it just never was going to happen. And at the same time, if they would have just set expectations from the beginning that this was going to be different, first of all, I don't think a lot of people would have watched from the beginning. It's like 12 million people watched the premiere. And second of all, I don't know if it would have had the staying power, because they did have the interchanges from time to time that referred back to the MCU. And that was always the expectation. And then they've come out after the years, and they've said, look, with the production schedules, there's just no way that we're going to have any crossover like that. And okay, I get it now, but it feels like a failed experiment, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still good on its own. So I'm happy to have been watching it the last 5 years.
Well, the agents have messed with time. The Avengers have messed with time. It makes sense if it's its own little timeline now.
Well, also, we know, like, there's the timeline thing, and then just in general, Kevin Feige has not been willing to work with the TV side to make this work as well as it possibly could.
Okay, I found some Kevin Feige interviews. Whenever they ask, are the Avengers ever going to be made aware that Phil Coulson's alive? All he's ever said is maybe.
No, there was one time that he came up and he said that they were going to go ahead and they would know at some point. I remember we covered it here on the podcast a couple of years ago. Of course, it's not going to happen now. It's over and done with. And to top all that off, we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that basically destroyed the Earth. And in the future, that was all last season. And that wasn't going to happen in the MCU. We knew that was going to happen in the MCU. So, okay, I realize that there's a break. I'm not stupid. But at the same time, I'm like, well, it's not how they were advertising it. And now they do have related series that are going to be on Disney Plus. You've got all these main characters that are going to be on small screen experiences on Disney Plus. You got Hawkeye, you got Loki, you got stuff happening over there. So that's obviously going to have to be connected at some point. Although now they have the whole Snap thing going on. So I'm not sure where in the timeline all that's going to happen.
But that stuff's also all going to be limited run. So they can say, you know, this is where that story's going to start and end. And they don't have to worry about an ongoing story that's going to affect their movies.
Fine with that.
Yeah, because the Loki TV show could be what happened to the Loki who took the Tesseract.
That's what I figured it was going to be.
Yeah, they got to wrap that up. That's just too much of a dangling plot hole right now.
And that's all for the comments.
Yep. Thank you very much. We're going to take this opportunity and we are going to space jump this one out. Thanks for sticking with us for the past year of hiatus. It was 52 weeks. So thank you very much. And of course, sticking with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We hope you have had a little fun along the way because we have talked some interesting stuff all the way up through Endgame.
Thank you to everybody who has replied to the live tweets. I love doing them. I miss doing them. And I will see y'all again on Friday. Look for me on Twitter on Fridays. It is usually me doing the live tweets. Thank y'all so much for being there.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone that's listened. We look forward to our next long hiatus together when we get to watch tons of like Hulu Marvel, Netflix Marvel, Disney Plus Marvel material with you.
Yes, thank you everyone who's listened. And also on Discord. I'm the one active on Discord. For some reason, I'm taken to it. I like it a lot. So jump into our Discord server and we can have a chat.
Looking forward to that because lots of good stuff going on. I'm sure we'll all have to have our therapy sessions at some point this year. Until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent Michelle.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2013 through 2019.